What's up guys, Ranger here, and welcome back to another reaction. And this is to episode, what episode is it? Episode 12 of MLP FiM Season 5, which is Amending Fences. Yep. Amending Fences. Now, I know I'm very late to this, and I really apologize for that. I've been wanting to get to this much sooner, but just now got the opportunity. And I've had several people request that I do this, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. Shall we? I didn't tell you to get starting the video on 3, 2, 1, click. Oh, Twilight. Oh, it's you.
The worst thing about you being a princess of friendship? The dishes.
Thanks for taking care of that, Spike. After 3 events in 1 week, I really needed to relax with a good book.
Oh, Twilight.
That's kind of funny, isn't it? All these ponies coming to you for advice about friendship.
What's funny about that?
You know, because you used to be famous for being such a bad friend.
What are you talking about? I had good friends in Canterlot.
Come on, Twilight. Look at the wall. Do you see any photos from before you moved to Ponyville? And look at you now, the princess of friendship.
Oh boy.
It's a disaster.
Oh.
All my old friends. I can't remember any of their names right now.
Amethyst,
Do you
Lyra.
really think that they think I'm a bad friend?
Well, I only meant that you've come so far. You're a great friend now, and...
Oh, I feel terrible.
You worded it horribly,
Make it up
dude.
to them. Pack a bag, Spike. We're going to Canterlot. And make a list of my friends' names.
Me and my big mouth.
Yeah, maybe one day you'll learn to Okay, the writer is story editor MLR. Oh boy.
The only logical place to start is at the beginning.
Oh my gosh. MLR, oh boy, this is gonna be good. Wow. Oh my gosh. The
It's
nostalgia.
exactly how we left it.
Oh my god. Whoa!
Look!
Oh my-
Predictions and prophecies.
The
And it's filled with
nostalgia.
the elements of harmony.
Oh my gosh, the nostalgia.
And here's
Oh!
that present I was going to give Moondancer. Huh, guess you won't be needing that. Hey, look!
A whole
Most of it's
year.
still here.
Oh my gosh.
How could I have let this happen?
Oh my gosh, the nostalgia.
Come on.
Oh my gosh, the
I
nostalgia,
actually
man.
gave you an assignment. No pony could blame you for that.
But look at the way I left this place.
Oh wow, I
It's
love
a
this
total
scene.
mess.
And the one right before this.
Just like how I left my friendships. I've got to make it up to...
Oh, Minuet, Twinkle-Shine, Lemon Heart,
Colgate.
Heartstrings, and Moondancer.
Lyra! Oh my gosh, their name they used. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh my gosh.
Spike! Come on, we've got work to do.
Have you been awake all night?
I did a little research, and I think I know where we can find Minuet. That is one of my friends, right?
If she... Oh boy. Colgate. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be Colgate, isn't it?
It's not too late to forget I opened my big mouth.
Oh, Spike, I'm glad you opened your big
If
mouth.
you don't want to be
These
here,
ponies have probably been suffering
hail a
ever since I
taxi
left, wondering why
and be
their
gone.
supposed friend would treat them so badly. Minuet? Twilight Sparkle! You old so-and-so!
Oh,
What are you
Colgate.
doing here? Hey, Spike!
Look at these wings, huh?
Hey, grab a picture of me and the princess, will ya?
I tried to tell my co-workers we used to be friends back when, but they never believed me. Wait. Really fluff them up, huh?
Oh boy. Oh, the tags on different birds.
So what are you doing here? I mean, I know you're here all the time, but you never come to see me. Hey! I just had the greatest idea! You want to go see Lemon Hearts and Twinkle-Shine? Of course! My old friends! It'll be great!
Yeah, I know
Come on,
her.
let's fly. Get it?
Oh. Yes, I know her official name is Minuet, but I'll still always know her as
Let's
Colgate.
hope they're not as traumatized as Minuet.
Dinky! Oh, the nostalgia.
Twinkle-Shine literally when she heard you were the Princess of Friendship.
Well, we saw you at the coronation. That was some shindig. You did? Sure. Oh, we see you all the time.
You remember our old friend Lyra, right? She lives in Ponyville, too. We're always over there visiting her. Or she's coming over here. We've thought about asking you to join us from time to time, but we just sort of figured you'd moved on.
Oh.
Awkward.
So what brings you by anyway? All those times you've come back to Canterlot, you've never had donuts with us before.
Well, you see... I came to apologize.
For what?
Before I left Canterlot, I didn't really appreciate my friends. And that's because I didn't know how important friendship was. But I've learned so much since I moved to Ponyville. I learned what it means to be a good friend, and that I certainly wasn't one to the three of you. So for all the pain I caused you, I am truly sorry.
That was not the reaction I was expecting.
Come on, Twilight. Sure, it might have stung a little bit when you ran off to Ponyville without saying goodbye, but it's not like we weren't used to that from you.
Yeah, we didn't take it personally.
But it's really good to see you now. Hey, any pony up for a blast from the past?
Sure, why not? Wait. Star Swirl the Bearded. Oh my gosh.
It's our old science lab.
Oh.
I have so many great memories of this place.
Did you blow it up once,
Remember
maybe?
when Lemon Heart got his head stuck in that beaker?
Oh my. Oh my gosh, we can see Philly Twilight.
But according to this book, you're supposed to add the sodium chloride first.
Oh, there goes my heart.
And to make a proper salt lick, you need to add the molasses first. Well, I read ahead too, Moondancer, and I'm sure it said sodium chloride first. Oh, I've got the wrong book. That's so hilarious.
Whatever happened to Moondancer?
Moondancer?
Yeah, you know, our other friend.
Oh, right, Moondancer. I remember her. I wonder what she's up to.
Yeah, I always liked her. We just sort of lost touch after you left.
I think she went to live out by the stadium, didn't she?
Well, let's go see.
I think this is the place. Didn't used to look like this, though.
Seems... yeah. Nice. I love this episode already, the reference. Okay.
Moondancer?
What do you want?
I'm trying to study. It's us. You're our friends.
Oh!
Ugh.
Spike, what are you doing here?
That's old Moondancer, all right. She always
Really?
did like her books. Hey, kind of like you used to be, huh?
Oh!
Exactly how I used to be.
Realization. Oh, I get it. Okay, okay. So this is what would have happened had Twilight not... So this is like what Twilight would have been had she have not...
Come on, Twilight. We've been watching her for 3 days. Library house. Library house. That's it. No pony looks at her or says hello or even gives her a smile. It's like she doesn't even exist. Was she always like this?
Well, she always was a little shy, but for a while there, she was really starting to come out of her shell. Remember when she threw that party? Oh, right. I think you might have been busy that day.
Oh my gosh!
There you are, Twilight.
Oh my
Moondancer
gosh.
is having a little get-together in the West Castle courtyard. You want to come? Oh, sorry, girls. I got a lot of studying to catch up on.
Oh boy. The nostalgia.
Thought she might finally be letting her guard down a little with that party. We
I think I
dropped
just
her
hit
off
a
few times
lap
after
hole
that,
down memory
but she
lane.
was always too busy
Head on.
studying.
Going
So
about
eventually,
55.
We just stopped asking.
I had no idea that party was so important to her.
Oh boy.
I've got to find a way to make it up to her.
Okay, I'm already curious how this episode will go. It can go one of two ways. A, she makes up. She doesn't mend fences. And everything between them is okay. Which would seem a little predictable given it being a cartoon. But it would be an interesting turn of events if she never did. So this is almost like what Twilight would have been had she never discovered true friendship.
What is this? A bubble of silence. I haven't seen you in a while, and I thought it might be nice to catch up. For what purpose?
Oh boy.
You know, because we're friends.
Oh boy. Okay, she can do that.
I'm really sorry to bother you. I was just hoping we could go outside and talk for a bit.
What you... Ow.
I'm sorry I skipped your party.
Okay, that's good.
Why won't you leave me alone? I'm trying to study. You've got the wrong pony. I don't have parties.
You did once, and I was so caught up in my own studying that I didn't take your feelings into account.
Look, Twilight, Twinkle, Sparkle, let up. I just need to be alone so I can study without some crazy pony trying to make friends, all right? Fine. Wait, how did you get into my book like that?
It's a spell. Hey, those two
I've been
again.
studying a new studying technique.
Fleur
I
de
can only do
lis
it for a
and
few minutes,
fancy
But
pants.
you'd be amazed how much you can pick up when you're actually in a book.
It's one of Haycart's methods.
You know Haycart?
Of course, he's a genius.
I have a copy of his treatise on ponies, you know.
Oh boy, I love this
What
episode.
is this place?
This is where I used to live. You mean I never had you over?
Oh my gosh! She's gonna move
The
in.
first edition of Principles of Magic.
She's gonna move in here, isn't she, at the end of the episode?
Didn't I give this to you?
Uh-oh.
I did. Look, I even wrote something. To my friend Twilight Sparkle. Thanks for introducing me to the classics. I can see by the fact that you left it here that it meant a lot to you.
Look, I didn't
Ouch.
bring you over here for even more poignant reminders of what a bad friend I was. I brought you here to give you this. You can come here whenever you want
Oh.
and study to your heart's content. Really? But first, you've got to do something for me.
What?
Have dinner with our old friends tonight.
I can't. I'm reorganizing my biology schools.
I've been spending a lot of time with Minuet, Twinkleshine, and Lemonheart since I've been back. They really miss you.
Look, I already told you. The last thing I need is a bunch of ridiculous friend-making keeping me from studying.
Moondancer, wait! A wise pony once taught me that there's more to life than dusty old books.
I tried friendship, and it's just not for me. Now if you'll excuse me.
What if I taught you Haycart's method?
I love this episode.
What are you studying these days?
Science, magic, history, economics, pottery, things like that.
Yowza! Planning on
That's
being
cute.
a professor or something?
No.
So you're just studying.
Can I go now?
Moondancer, please.
It's all right, Twilight. We're having a good time. Right, every pony?
I love how optimistic she is.
Spike, tell Moondancer that story about how Twilight had to read a book about doing the sleepover.
Slumber 101? I've read that.
Oh, really? Well, did you know Lemonheart's here, works at the Canterlot Palace?
Yeah, it's
Really?
true. I do the big events mostly. State dinners, that sort of thing.
That's cool. Sorry, I was looking at that pony back there.
Moondancer, you've got to give friendship a chance.
Ugh, I gave friendship a chance a long time ago. It didn't work out then. It isn't going to work out now. Twilight, are you all right?
No, I'm not.
Well, where are you going?
I don't know, Spike. I really messed this one up. That party was everything to her. I can only imagine what it must have felt like when I didn't show up.
Oh man.
Hey, Moondancer! Look at this spread, huh? Thank you so much for coming.
Of course. We wouldn't miss one of our best friends' parties.
Is Twilight coming? Oh, okay. Hey, we'll still have fun, right?
Sure. If there was only a way to undo the damage. I know what I need to do.
You can't go back in
And I
time.
know just who can help me.
Rarity? Pinky. Planning a party.
Huh. Guess they must have gone back to Ponyville. Huh?
Pinky! Oh wow! Oh!
That was awesome! You gotta go flying more often,
Pinky.
Twilight!
Never mind, it's
There you
Pinky.
are. I thought you threw in the old towel and headed home.
I did head home, but not to throw in the towel. I went to get my secret weapon. Minuet, meet...
Hey, Pinkie Pie! Hi, Minuet! Twilight, you didn't say Minuet would be here.
You two know each other?
Oh, sure. She was one of Cadence's bridesmaids. We hang out all the time when she's in Ponyville. Didn't you know that? Huh. And you call yourself the Princess of Friendship. Twilight briefed me on the way here. We'll need 15 bags of confetti and as many hooks as we can get.
Let's go. We can have on the way.
And what are we gonna do? Just come with me.
Okay, I absolutely love this episode.
Ooh, a brief history of the wagon harness. The life and times of Morari the Nameless.
Really? Oh my gosh.
What is this? It's a party.
For you. Come on in. Thanks, but no thanks. I don't do parties. I know. And I think it's my fault. Back when we were in school together, you invited me to a party. I was so focused on my studies that I didn't show up.
Big deal.
It was a big deal. And now that I realize how important friendship is, I'd like to make up for my mistake with a new party. A party in honor of my friend Moondancer. Please, you've got to let me make this up to you.
And you think this is gonna do it, huh?
Yes?
Well, sure. Why wouldn't it? That was only the first time I ever put myself out there, and then you didn't even bother to show up. Then you left town without saying goodbye, even though we were supposed to be friends. I was humiliated. I felt like I wasn't important. I never wanted to let myself be hurt like that again. Those three finally convinced me that I had value. That other ponies might like me and want to be my friends. And you didn't show up! Ah!
You're right. This party can't make up for the way I hurt you. But please, don't let my mistake be the reason you can't be friends with any pony else.
We were your friends then, and we'd be honored to be your friends now. What? That's the librarian, the bookseller, my sister. You've got a lot of friends, Moondancer.
I'm sorry, Moondancer. I've faced magical creatures, the end of Equestria, all sorts of things. But seeing how my actions affected you, That was one of the worst feelings I've ever had.
Thank you, Twilight. I never realized how much I needed to hear that. Now, come on, every pony, let's party! Right? Right!
Chorus party together. Pin the tail on Celestia, wow.
I think it's time for us to go, Moondancer.
Thank you for helping me make some new friends, even if they are my old friends.
Oh, we'll come back and visit soon.
That would be great. You still gotta teach me that hey cart technique.
Deal. Moondancer? It got kind of banged up, but here's a little something I wanted to give you back at your first party.
Wow. Oh, wow. That was just beautiful. I mean, that's the only words that I can say in regard to this episode. It was just absolutely beautiful. I love this episode. I know some people are probably going to say that this episode was lacking because it had a slow-paced story and it didn't really have, you know, like a very big. I mean, and the story that it did have, it wasn't like this big epic. Pardon me, this big epic story with like a lot of comedy, a lot of, you know, action or anything, but. No, I absolutely love this episode because of the way that the story was told, and it was. I kind of believe that some, you know, younger audiences possibly might not really get into this episode because of how, like I said, because the story was a bit slow, but I loved it for that because it told a beautiful story the way that it needed to. And, I mean, the pacing, I felt myself, was fine. And the plot, I mean, it was beautiful. I mean, it was just the... To Larson, for this episode, thank you. This is a very beautiful episode, and I mean, to everybody that worked on this episode, thank you guys so much for this, because this was just a beautiful episode, and for me, there was a lot of relatability within this episode, and I mean, that's something, I'm like with Twilight on that. I mean, I can't live my life thinking that that I have hurt someone, and then with Moondancer, I can also understand that. I mean, like I said, I mean, I've had a couple of people in my life let me down, and it just you don't want to put yourself back out there because you're afraid. You don't want to face that hurt all over again. It's enough to face it once, twice, but you don't want to keep facing it all over again. You just can't. Some people can, but some people can't. And you don't want to take a chance to put your heart back out there and risk getting it broken again. And so, for me, there is a lot of relatability to both Twilight and to Moondancer in this. I mean, like some of the aspects of their personality, and then their emotions, and how they were conveyed, and how that they were amazingly portrayed here. It's understandable, and then, you know, Moondancer focusing on studying because, I mean, it was just, I mean, it was what she wanted to do, but at the same time, she was doing it because she was trying to avoid getting hurt. And like I said, there's a lot of relatability in this episode for me, and I know some other people can also see that as well. And story-wise, like that, it was amazing. I loved it. I mean, it was slow, but it wasn't slow boring. No, it was it was almost I mean, it was drama. It was emotional, it was drama. There was some comedy in there, yes, but I mean, it was beautiful. I loved it. I mean, just the way that the story flowed and how that these two characters, I mean, honestly, I can't get over just the relatability. I mean, the realism, and with the emotion and everything with the characters, and that's in that scenario. I mean, it was just amazing. And I know a lot of people will be able to relate to this episode. Not just, I mean, be it either on Twilight's part or Moondancer's part or both. There's something that I believe a lot of people can take from this episode. And this episode hit home with me on some of those aspects. And I know some other people can also relate to that. And so, this is one of the reasons why I love this show, is because there are scenarios that the characters go through that are portrayed and conveyed in a way that we can relate to. And sometimes it can be just a little bit of a hint at it, but we know exactly what it's talking about. And other times, to me, like with this episode, it's a bit of it's a hard hit. And like I said, I absolutely love this episode because of that. I mean, it was just amazingly told. The story was, I felt, beautifully paced. I mean, it was just absolutely beautiful. And I mean, it was fantastic. I loved it. And I really hope we get to see more episodes like this, hopefully in the future. And another thing is, like with the characters, being able to go back. I mean, the nostalgia, being able to go back to the very first episode. The very first episode in Season 1. 5 years for us. 5 years. And the nostalgia, the trip down memory lane, my gosh. Be able to go back to where it all started. And rekindle that flame. Reignite that flame that started all those years ago. And see where it all began. I mean, it was just amazing. And then, the references to the past and everything. I mean, and seeing Twilight now a princess there, I mean, it's one of those scenarios where, I mean, it's also relatable, because there's been situations I know a lot of us have been in where you look back on something from the past, or perhaps you go back to someplace you've been in the past, and then you see where you are now, and it's different. It's so much different, and it's hard to believe the path that you've trod, and how far you've come down that path, and it's really, really incredible. And how that was also done, I really admire and love it as well. And then being able to see those characters again from the very early beginning, from the very first episode, and to be able to see Twilight back with those characters again, and to be able to see her rekindle that relationship with them. And Moondancer as well, to be able to see that. And Moondancer wasn't introduced in the first episode. I mean, we never did get to see her. So, we didn't actually see her character. I mean, she looks exactly like Twilight, but I love that concept because, I mean, they're almost like sisters in terms of their interest in studying, but, I mean, both went down two completely different roads. And, for us, it's really interesting to think about the story. I mean, had Nightmare Moon never had happened, Twilight never would have moved to Ponyville. And she still would have been friends with these ponies, but how much different would her life had been? and then to think about the events that happened. And I mean, I really felt for Moondancer in this, but I'm really happy that this episode did have a happy ending, because I mean, like I said earlier, there was two possibilities for this episode. You know, they would have, you know, it would have been a happy ending, you know, which, you know, one would say was cliche, but you know, it would have been a turn of events to, you know, for Twilight to not make amends with her, and for the lesson to be, you know, there's just some things you can't change. There's just some people, some ponies that you just, there's nothing you can do, and you have to move on. And honestly, I mean, I can't directly recall any instances in any shows that I watched where that has actually been done before, but I mean, where that particular story has been told. But I'm honestly glad that they didn't go that path with this. I mean, because if they were going to do something like that, I would rather them introduce a character that, you know, that possibly that we wouldn't really feel very much for, and do that for, because I mean, you could really understand or relate to Moondancer, and so I mean, you really felt for her, you really felt for Twilight. I mean, you couldn't not feel for both of them. I mean, for me, I could understand both. I could understand both of them, both of their perspectives, and I can understand the emotions that both were feeling. And so, like I said, it was great to be able to go back to Canterlot, to go back to where the whole thing started, right from the very beginning, 5 years ago, and to be able to see that, to be able to see those, to be able to take this trip down memory lane, and be able to see those characters again. I mean, Colgate, yes, I'm still calling, okay, Minuet. We got to see her. She got a lot more screen time, and it was awesome to be able to see her. I loved her voice. It was adorable. And then we got to be introduced to Moondancer as well. I love her character already, and I'm really happy this episode did have a happy ending, and that the story did play out the way that it did. It was a smooth story. It was emotional. It had drama. It did have a little bit of comedy, but it was just a well-played story with relatable scenarios, with characters that we could relate to, and I mean, it had very, very relatable emotions in it too, and you know, with relatable scenarios. And so I really loved this episode, and it was just a fantastic episode. And I mean, I really can't say any more than that. Like I said, it was great to be able to see those older characters again, and to be able to go back to where it all started. And the story that played out within it, I think, was really fantastic. And so it was definitely a very beautiful episode story-wise, and to be able to see the characters, and I mean, it was just a wonderful episode. I loved it. So again, to everybody that worked on this episode, thank you guys again so much for this beautiful episode, this beautiful story. And to everybody that requested that I do this episode, thank you guys again so much. And pardon me. I'll definitely be looking forward to seeing other people's reactions to this episode as well. So thank you guys again for joining me, and I will see you guys again next time with the next video that I do. Take care.